Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Welcome to a meeting of the Stamford Selectboard. If you have a matter to discuss that is not included on the agenda, you may do so by addressing the chairperson and stating your name and address. You will notice that all our meetings are recorded, and this is to aid with the summarization of the minutes. Visitors are welcome, and we allow 5 minutes of comments per visitor and 15 minutes per topic. Discussions will be held in a calm and civilized manner and respectful of others. Select board members present are
Mike Janot,
Nancy Bashika.
Doug Wright.
John Dunn, Kirk Damari.
Will there be any adding of items or removing items from tonight's agenda? Yeah, I think we've got to review the dog guidelines too. Yep. Will there be any adjustments to the agenda, such as changing the order of items? I don't think so. Pete is recording tonight's meeting. This is for Jeb's YouTube. Okay. So we've got a lot on the agenda tonight, a lot to discuss and talk about, but first will be hearing of visitors. Tammy.
Tammy Elias, Suzanne Drive, and in case you aren't aware, Sportsman Road overflowed again Sunday night, wrecking the road all the way down to my house. I really wouldn't care so much if the road got washed away, if every single piece of dirt, mud, pebble, rock didn't all end up in our yard. So I paid $4,500 to the town of Stamford for taxes. I paid $2,000 a year to Albemarle. We talked about this last July 4th when it flooded. We need to find some sort of solution instead of just letting Tammy and Tom foot the bill for all the cleanup they have to now do. My yard's a mess. It is totally a mess. Both of our driveways have to be all sure-packed again. This much mud.
And the mud came up to the basement.
Sir, oh, what's your name?
Tom.
Oh, Tom. Okay.
The mud came up to the basement and to our well. So I am concerned about our drinking water now.
Mm-hmm.
The mud is packed up against the foundation and the water came into our basement.
So it was running down Suzanne Drive from
From the top of Sportsman. So when you look at Suzanne, there's culverts all the way down the right side of the road. But where the water goes is all the way down the left side of the road. So we need to put in culverts.
on Suzanne Drive.
Yes. Next meeting, there'll be more Albemarle people here to discuss what a solution can be. I know you both just kind of blame it on the other, but there needs to be some sort of 50-50 split of whatever this repair is going to be.
Weren't we going through a survey?
Yeah, I
put
had
some place for that.
I had Josh Carvall come look at the whole thing. He actually sent this email to the town, and they never actually came up with the size of anything yet, but it's actually a really big project. It's not just changing a culvert at the intersection. It's realigning from the brook. It's a possible Act 250 permit. It's, you know.
Isn't it potentially going to the Murphy property too? Because he was here
Yes.
worried
Yeah, he's right
about
at the top.
his son's property at one point.
Yeah, it's
Crosses the road right at the top.
they really want to realign the brook where it used to go before.
Is this the brook, Dave, that's coming down from the mountain, or?
Yeah, it's coming out of, I would guess it's the Murphy property or there's a bunch of water there.
Yeah, I've seen it come down from the mountain, and then it's our ditch
Changing
too.
a culvert at that intersection doesn't guarantee anything, because if you're not there when all the sticks and everything run out of the woods and those type of events.
It's not even getting to that side of the road, is it?
Damn
The
it.
right side never gets a
It's
dry
not, that's where that culvert is, it's not even getting to that,
Yeah,
right?
it just kind of floods over the road there and goes down the like you said, the left side, the ditch line of Suzanne Drive. It kind of just floods, fans out, runs down through there. And I mean, the structure hasn't failed. It's unfortunately seems to be happening more often than it did. There's no real easy solution to it. It's,
Because
Yeah,
nothing
it's
has
not something you
changed.
can just
no,
put a culvert
if it was
in.
real
There's
quick and easy, I would just
a study has to be done.
Yeah, it's
permits
already
need to be
it's in the
drawn.
works.
Why can't we just change that culvert for now?
Because that's up to the state of Vermont.
Waterway.
Agency of Natural Resources in control of that. We don't have any jurisdiction. Because anything that's gonna be 36 inch or above, they decide what goes on. And in this case, they're talking about realigning the brook. He doesn't even wanna
Come down that.
do anything there. He wants to go up the road and put a new culvert crossing in and come down through. It might actually be your property.
Probably.
I-
Would it go more of an angle than, it's almost a 90-degree turn.
Didn't we see,
years ago?
Right.
And then you're gonna have to put a crossing in on Suzanne Drive, and it's gonna be a pretty substantial cost. This isn't just, plastic culverts.
So
They're
who
gonna
pays for every year and a half, who pays for our maintenance?
I don't know.
on your road would be Elton.
And they say
But
they
it's
spent,
Stamford's water.
But it's not, I mean,
Is there any way,
The water is universal.
yeah,
Right, that's like
Water
coming out of my land from my neighbors. Yeah.
we're not correcting it in that way, it's just an act of God when we have a flood.
Dave, didn't we see something that they have to go through a field or something on an angle?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what I
that
was
drawing-
talking about,
okay.
is they wanna realign and have it.
Yeah,
go-
because it's
Come
only,
up
it's a
higher.
90-degree turn now.
Yeah.
Right.
Comes down, turns from
yeah, but what happens
Yeah.
is that culvert on Suzanne, that culvert on Sportsman's Road, seems like it's not deep enough.
Well, it just doesn't handle the flow, I mean, in these extreme events, it's.
Yeah, but
I
I'm
don't
not
know,
talking
we
about extreme
lost at least a
accidents.
foot of snow and then probably had an inch of rain in a matter of hours, it seemed like. on some-
Culverts are notoriously undersized. for a long
Yeah, so now we have a study. This is, I know it's frustrating. We did this on Lincoln Road and it took,
Yeah, like 4 years.
4 years, 1,000, 10, 50s. and
Well, we
60s.
spent what?
We-
$1 million?
Yeah, we spent
Yeah.
it
So-
with the grant, so it's a big issue.
So if we do put that culvert in higher up on Sportsman's Road, what's going to handle the water coming down from the mountain into the current culvert that's there? Isn't there a little stream?
Well,
or-
you're still
I say
gonna have
trickle,
that
but
culvert.
it's
not
quite
gonna
a
eliminate
it's
it.
quite a stream there.
In front of Matt Christus' house.
But you're
Yeah.
you're talking about brook is overflowing.
Yeah, it's basically a brook at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this study that they're doing, when will we hear about this?
I don't know, I mean, I can.
We
kinda
put a fire under
It's
their
kind of
butt.
like, yeah, it's like everything else, the more you get on, the more they might come up with something, but,
Yeah.
and then you gotta fund it. And it's gonna be equally as expensive to Alpenwall as it is the town. I mean, if I said you had to put $50,000 into it, do you think Alpenwall would even entertain that?
they say
Does it
they
want
spend
more?
most of their road budgets fixing Suzanne Drive.
Yeah. I doubt $50,000.
Well, if they did, then if they helped fix it, then that would go down. So
Right.
that's
But
kind
there's
of
no guarantee
it's an
that you're not gonna
incentive.
have the same problem because all the water you come down through there, a big stick could jam with a bunch of leaves in the
Sure.
fall, and not now instead of dealing with a little bit of water, because some of the water goes down the right track, you might have all of it.
Right.
Ooh.
Because I've seen that plenty too. Yeah, the A&R guy will tell you it's not 100% foolproof. It's not necessarily gonna.
The big thing is again, the state's going to come down. They do the study.
Right.
They tell us what
They're gonna
can
decide
be
what
done.
happens.
Not necessarily the right thing to be done, but what can be done.
Right.
Then we have to get bids.
Yeah, then we're
So
gonna have.
I have no problem with us putting a fire under them because I agree. The state likes to kick the can a lot. So if we can at least see where we're at, I agree. If we can go to Applewall and say, okay, here's our numbers. What do you want to do? then we'll go from there. We'll at least get to that point.
Is there anything we could do to temporarily fix it with hay bales, silt fences?
This is one of those things that doesn't happen. I mean, the whole time I've been here, 16 years, this is probably the 4th time I saw it. It's just the 2nd time within a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are
So
pretty.
do 4 times 5,000. You do the math, guys. That's what I spend. Every time.
It costs you $5,000.
Every time.
It would have culvert under your
me-
driveway, or is there something there that?
No, just the cleanup.
No, but I mean the water flowing, because the water's just going down the ditch on the left-hand side. Where does that ditch line go? I guess I've never been
It
down.
goes all into our property.
Whether Sportsman, Suzanne Drive is not tipped, graded. That's why.
Yeah, I'm just curious if it's running down the ditch line, where does it go down the ditch line? Because it just should stay there and. continue
What's
on.
Suzanne, a dead end down there?
Yes.
So if this, you're looking down, you're saying it's going on the left hand. I've been up the top, I've never
Yep.
been all the way down. But if this water's coming down, what Dave's saying is it going all the way past the dead end? Of course not, it must be going across.
Most
there-
of the plants in our second driveway, close to our house.
Okay, so,
Everything.
and you're on the left or right?
We're on the left.
You're on the left. So is there something, is there a ditch that could keep going
Yes.
down to the
Well,
dead
we need
end?
to make one.
You know,
Or
like John said,
toward the
is
water
there
from our first driveway.
Do you own the property where the
Yeah.
ditch is?
like a temporary,
Could that, yeah, if
Yeah, just
Alpenwald put a
continue the
ditch,
Ditch it.
ditch deeper on your side, okay, what?
let's just say he can't dig a ditch on, well, I don't know how Applewall is,
Yeah,
but dig a ditch in your own property and say, there's the water going for, like an emergency type.
It's not jumping onto your.
I know when we went through all the flood stuff, there's a difference between an emergency fix and then we'll fix it down the road.
I mean, I would just ditch it.
If the, okay, say we
And
go
they come
through
and yell at
this,
you at some point, but that could be 6
Well, I don't know,
years
that's
from now.
say we go through with this project, put the culvert through the field and down, and it's gonna cross lower on Suzanne Drive. Where's that culvert gonna empty into? Somebody's backyard, or
Well,
where does it
no,
go
it's gonna
now?
go where the water goes now, but it could plug too. This is what I'm saying. It's not the cure-all.
No,
Yeah.
we're
So
saying,
it could still plug. That culvert that crosses Suzanne Drive lower, where he kind of had drawn it up, could potentially plug and they could end up with more water.
yeah,
That's what I see happening. If it does plug, they're gonna end up with more water.
with
Because
that,
now,
with that
with
plan.
this design, yeah, they could potentially end up with more water if that culvert.
Do you have any influence on telling them that the plan could be worse?
This
Or
is
they
the way
could
they want to
anyways.
go about it. That part of it isn't really their concern. It shouldn't happen, but it will happen.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And this is what happens in every flood. The stuff runs out of the woods, the sticks, the leaves. You know, all of a sudden you got little rivers where there isn't rivers. You know, everything overflows. It grabs everything from the woods,
Sure.
comes down, plugs the culverts. And unless you're standing right there, and even if you were, you might not be able to stop it. It happens so fast.
Sure.
You know, I mean, there was a culvert down the road by the Costine property that couldn't handle the flow, and I had to fix that.
Oh yeah, this
They
is
dug our road
not
out.
the only place in town that there's problems like that.
Right,
We've
exactly.
been through this.
So we
many times.
just, you know, what we do is it's cheaper just to throw a couple yards of material in the hole, and you know, next time you do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just unfortunate that his yard's getting.
I mean, I would be perfectly content if you guys didn't wanna spend all that money doing that when this does happen, and I submit a $1,000 bill for fixing my driveways, if you and Alpenwald splitted it, and I don't have to pay this every time it floods, I'd be fine.
No, that's
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't pay this over and over
Berard
and
come
over.
up and sure park both driveways now. And excavate all the mud.
right.
I would suggest just running the ditch line, and do you have culverts now under your driveways or no?
No,
No,
So there probably should be.
I mean, Bark has put in a culvert,
Oh,
at least the
yeah, all
driveway,
the
it doesn't get a frickin' drop of rain, it does nothing. Why is it there?
Where
when it
was
needs to
that?
be on our side.
Oh,
Lisa's
okay.
driveway, she
Oh,
lives right across the street, Lisa and Jed.
yeah,
They put in a big culvert there and nothing ever goes in if there's no water.
because the top culvert should have taken it over.
Yeah, it
To
goes
the
down on the right-hand side. The water goes through the culvert down the right-hand side, and they're on the left.
Yeah, so it
So
should be
when it
going over
floods,
more on that side.
You know, water does go to the right side, but some's going down the left side of it. There is a ditch line there.
Yeah.
But apparently it just
Doesn't go that
deadheads.
I wouldn't even call that a ditch line.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it just
go that way.
deadheads, and unfortunately
So
it
you
runs
s-
onto
you
their
said-
property, but that's kind of, it could alleviate that with, you know, continuing the ditch down through and, well, I mean, I don't know, I haven't been down there.
What does Alpenwald do when they come out and repair the section of road? What do they do?
Like this afternoon, they brought 5 or 6.
They don't
truckloads
ditch
of
it? They don't
gravel
ditch
and
the, they
whatnot.
don't ditch the road?
Nope, they're just
Nope.
filling all the.
And then just point fingers at the top of the road and say, sorry.
Yeah.
So you said more Alpenwald people will be here next meeting?
Yes.
The question is, can you do anything to fix it?
Not at this point.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, we went through this.
So now we have to
last
say,
year.
okay,
What's that?
We went through the same thing this time last year as well.
It was a midsummer, I think, we had.
July
Right.
4th.
July 4th.
Yeah.
so the question is now is we have to go
Follow
back
up.
to the state,
Yeah, they've
Yep.
got.
play the game,
I
see
still
where
have-
we're at.
I mean, he says right here, he didn't see anything from the hydraulic study. That's,
Okay.
this stuff is really out of the hands of the town, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's not like years ago. They decide what goes on,
Yeah.
then we have to comply.
Mhm.
And it's definitely not gonna be cheap.
And they're also out there inventorying like every culvert in the state.
Well,
Vermont's doing it, Mass.
how many culverts you have in town, we said last time?
There's 300.
300, and we need to fix many.
I mean, I've done probably 80 since I've been here.
Yeah.
Most culverts fail now just because of the size of them.
Yeah.
They're just-
Yeah, a lot undersized culverts.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some major ones I put in for Grand East Road for one that's, you know, $250,000. That's, you know.
You'd probably be surprised in the size of the one they'd want to put in. right
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If it was 50,000, is
Yeah.
that one gonna go for that?
there. 4-foot
It might be
culvert
more.
anyway, probably.
Right.
That whole job could be $500,000.
Yeah.
Especially when you get building a brook down through some property. Yeah.
Welcome to the future of a bunch of dirt roads.
Yeah. So
Well-
what we can do is follow up on the state.
See if we can get an answer for next meeting and see what.
I'm certainly not gonna have like figures put
No,
together
no,
for
no.
some kind of project by next week.
No.
No,
I'd
no.
be lucky
But,
to have them
you know,
give
See if
me
you
a solid.
respond, see if he calls you back or whatever.
No, Josh is really good.
Yeah.
Josh is
Yeah.
really good. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, his hands are tied too. He has to follow their
What's
rules
his
and
territory?
regulations. And, yeah, he's a big territory. But he's really good.
Yeah, he is. I've called him a few times.
Thank you. Maybe we'll have a little answer for next week.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you for listening.
John, you had a question, something?
Yeah, I received some paperwork I need to fill out for the gravel pit, and basically it comes down to I would just like some support from the selectmen for the gravel pit when I send all this paperwork back to them. I mean,
What's the paperwork? Is it
Well,
Act
it's-
250?
no, it's like a review.
Are they
I don't-
asking something from the town?
No, nothing from the town. It's just me saying that, that.
You're an asset to the town.
Yeah, kind of. And I supply gravel to them. I
Yeah.
try to help them out in
No
emergencies
complaints.
and
I mean,
just.
without John, I mean, where do we get our gravel? That's gonna put the town in a
Right.
serious hardship.
Yeah, he's an asset to our town. We have no complaints
Like a
about
friendly,
his
friendly
operation.
letter? Or like
That's all.
recommendation?
That's all. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
Because we can't, I don't think we can really endorse you
No,
over
I
John
don't want
Tejan
that.
or
No,
the other-
I just
Yeah.
no. You don't have to. No,
Yeah.
I don't want that. No, I just something. Something.
What are they asking? What is the state asking of you that
Because the
that we
state's
need to?
the state. Nothing that you need to do. Basically, it's like a review of the pit is what they're doing, and I just thought that if a good word is always a good thing.
I
I
don't
guess is
see,
all I can
you know-
say. It's that simple. I'll fill it out, and I mean,
Yeah, I would say
I
that,
don't
you
know.
know,
Recommendation that explains the value, the value
Yeah.
to the town.
yeah. that he's
Value
a-
of the whole town, because we
a big
can't
asset
just,
for our town.
Yeah, absolutely.
well, that's
Never
Yeah.
had any issues with it, you know, no complaints.
Almost as much of a public service. I mean, I don't think you people realize that
Yeah.
when we have an issue, I call John.
Oh, I
John
know.
drops everything is like the orders of town.
maybe we
Talking
can
about
answer
issue,
the,
your roads in a nutshell
You
here,
know,
so.
so.
maybe we can answer the same questions that were asked of the Act 250 one on the previous.
You know, you talk about
folder.
the state with the water and all the problems. If you go all the way up Main Road, just Main Road, and you go up through here, and you look at the drainage ditches, I guess you want to call them.
the
None of them have been cleaned out.
no, the state
From
has
the-
neglected.
From the
It's
line
ridiculous.
all the way up through.
Oh,
I mean, you look at
Oh, I know.
between Dart,
It
Alex
impacted a lot of the
and
flooding here in the valley floor.
Tejan. I mean, the water is backed
They're
up because
silted right
it's not
in.
even draining.
The runoffs. It's horrible.
You know, he's having problems on Lincoln Road because they're not taking care of their stuff. You go
Oh,
all the
I
way up
know.
this road.
Oh, it's the
We were
truth.
saying up by Sportsman's Road, the water's
You look
Watch
at
the
the
road
culverts,
right out.
they're,
Well, they
the
installed
water's
that-
backed up halfway. I mean, they need
we
to
have
be
a
dug
ditch
out.
right here that needs to be dug out.
They
Yeah.
installed that in the
Through there.
'60s and never touched it since.
Right.
Pretty much.
So, you know, they talk about
Service spot.
their rules of us not fixing things, and they're not
Right.
fixing it, you know? And it's almost like just, you want to just say to our townspeople, do it. Fix it, like you just said. Put a ditch in.
Yeah, like up there.
call the
Dig
state
a ditch
some
on
of
the
those,
side of the road.
Yeah,
don't
Give
call
us
the-
a-
Talk to your neighbors, you
Don't
know?
call anybody.
Ask for
Don't
forgiveness
ask me no
later.
questions and I won't tell you no lies.
Right. Talk to your neighbors, get it done.
Sometimes when you're on the public road though, you don't have that
No, that, you know.
flexibility.
A lot of
Right,
times-
that- it's
a lot
a
of
shame
times they
that
think
neighbors
we are
tell
attention
on
to things
neighbors,
that aren't
right.
even on anybody's radar, but.
Yep.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
see what we can write up something. We'll look at the 250 questions and see
that's
what they
fine.
said and kind of
Yeah,
go along with that.
definitely support
All
that.
right.
No doubt.
Thank you.
Wait, you don't want to stay for the rest of the
No.
meeting? Oh, come on.
We'll see you.
Take care, guys.
Any other visitors or questions? Reading and approval of records and orders.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, there's a lot of, need your signature on the back sheet, and there's a lot of stuff to sign in there.
There's stuff in the middle before, you know what I mean? That doesn't have the tag in it.
I like the bank account in Berkshire Bank before you paid the school.
Yeah.
This is what we had end of January. Oh, wow. Then she paid the school, so that's what we
Big
have.
difference.
Yeah. They like their money.
Yeah, I still owe them.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
owe them. Dave, you want to start on road conditions?
Sure. Well, it's mud season.
Muddy.
Been out dealing with some muddy spots. Nothing that's really blown out where you couldn't get through. I tried to stay on top of most of the spots that were starting to break up, and I'm sure we already put a pretty good hurting on my summer budget. I mean, I have to go over the stone with gravel in the next couple of weeks, but I think everything's pretty passable. It's definitely seen it a lot worse.
Yeah.
Things are definitely changing every day, though. Where, you know, the frost was really deep this year, so you think the road's fine, and then 2 days later, all of a sudden it's wet and starting to, you know, something that looked like it was drying out. Yeah, there's frost pushing up some stones and whatnot. So Mike's been out all week, so I've really been just trying to. I had above water running around by myself and John hauling stone. You know, and I'll say it again, you know, John really is like a lifeline to the town, especially in emergency situations. I call him and whatever he's doing, he comes and, you know, especially in the flooding events. I mean, without his pit in town, you people are stranded. You people on the back road are going to be stranded because he shows up immediately and brings the material. And we don't have room to stockpile that kind of material or the money usually. So
Right.
that
Harvest stuff
In the event we're not able to get stuff from him, where would the next option be?
Well, I mean, you have to go to Shaftesbury, really.
And then that would be you trucking it yourself?
We have to find somebody to truck it, and in those situations, when there's flooding events, other people are
Up to
doing the
dailies.
same thing, yeah, so you're probably not gonna find somebody that's gonna be willing to do it, so you're waiting.
In the summers, you've got all the trucks tied up with paving projects
Yeah.
and everything. They've got their contracts
Yep.
going on. It's really,
Yeah, there's not a guy with an empty truck waiting for someone to call.
You know, they're all, you know, it's the same reason why we have our own town crew, because otherwise you'd never get anything done.
Right.
Find someone to do the work for you.
Dirt roads and climate events. Welcome to the future.
Yeah, it's definitely,
Well, one of the things that Dave said a long time ago, if you move up here, get yourself a generator, 4-wheel drive, and a gun.
Where's that
our
where's that t-shirts?
generator
We gotta get
rose
t-shirts.
up this year.
Propane?
With all that, no, it was
Oh,
all the snowpack.
oh, yeah. Wow.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
What was that? I missed.
Our generator.
Oh.
It literally seized up because the snowpack with that horrible wind we had
Oh, yeah.
during that event.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Where's the t-shirts? It's a lifestyle.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Okay.
it definitely is a lifestyle, and you need to be prepared that, you know, we can't.
I had to spend money on a campaign.
Oh,
You know, when
You
you
know
think
you're
about it,
semi-retired.
where there's two of us, we can't be everywhere at once,
Right,
so somebody's
right.
waiting, you know?
Right.
You know, I've had a couple complaints that the dirt roads are muddy.
whoa.
Okay. There's one everywhere.
Seriously. That's what, you know, they're muddy.
Yeah.
Now, when you bought the house, you see that it's muddy, you know?
Are they from like new people?
That sounds like
They're
the
new,
gotta
yeah.
be a yogiism.
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, this
Give
happens.
them time.
I bought a house on Sportsman Road and I hear guns going off at the Sportsman's Club. I didn't know that was gonna happen.
Anything else, Dave?
So, I believe so.
Okay. What else?
I know Lori and I have to get together and work on, a bid for Bleach Road. So that can happen this summer, and I did get a hold of the maintenance man for the sweeping, and they're gonna show up sometime in April.
Well, it'd be good if he could do it, because he didn't do it last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Devin never showed up.
I have a question. I know, I bring this up often. Has there ever been any talk about putting money aside for eventually paving roads so that we can get beyond a lot of these trouble spots when Dave's gone and I know it's 7 years isn't a long time or however
When
long it
we
is.
talked about that last time, Dave went and got a quote. I thought it was a very good number.
Yes,
I would be willing to do that like we do with all the other projects to put money aside. And every time we do that, the money's going up. You know, that bid's going to
of
go up.
course.
I would like to look into trying to get a 20-year loan to take care of something like that. And nothing against your road, but Jefferson Road's got blacktop and blacktop. And I'm like, why aren't we
Why aren't you
connecting
connecting
that?
it?
You know?
And then the other thing is, I've lived on a paved road and I've lived on dirt, so I've seen both.
Mhm.
I think it's unfair that a lot of money is put into chip sealing right now for not even a third of our people that
Population.
exactly, and we all pay the same taxes, and we don't have the same budget for the roads. So something has to change. Taxes or roads.
Right, your evaluation should take into consideration that you're on a dirt road versus.
We know we live on a dirt road. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, oh, poor.
No, I live on the main road and I'm paying taxes and I'm not getting
Right.
any of the budget to me. But
Right,
but
exactly, yeah.
I agree with the blacktopping. I think we all
And
do.
sweeping it,
You know.
We sweep
Why?
it once a year.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Mother Nature does. Those street sweepers make me quite crazy.
Sometimes it pays off, and sometimes it doesn't last very long. You get a rainstorm, and
Yeah. We have a lot of problems.
I mean,
We
that's
can
expensive.
talk about our trees on the back roads.
Yeah.
That's a rabbit hole you don't even want to go down.
Yeah.
We have water problems. We have mud problems. There's a lot of issues. The more people build houses up there, the worse it's going to get. Whether there's more water or less water. I mean, you look at the river's got less water, right? So the water's got to be going somewhere.
It goes away because the ground doesn't hold it anymore.
Right.
We made the rivers like canals.
And you showed me the old maps. I mean, with all the fields and everything. Now we're not drying it out anymore. It's all wetlands. Turned into wetlands.
Right.
So it's not drying. But there's a lot of problems. I do think that the town can't afford everything. Just simple as that, we're going to go bankrupt. But if we could go, this is one project. And set money aside. I agree with you. It's nice to at least plan. We did it with other projects. We can do it with that.
Next
Set it
year,
aside so set it aside so it's generationally, right? So not any one generation has to bear the whole burden of the expense.
Right.
It's got to be spread out over time.
Sure.
next year is a paving year, or should be a paving year for us to do another project. And we've been spending $200,000 every year, every 5 years since I started working here.
On the chip sealing or on
Yeah,
paving?
on the chips.
Okay. Yep.
Eventually, that number's going to have to climb. I've juggled it for years to try to make it all work between that and grants. Having East Road done this year is going to be huge, because that's a couple $100,000 in itself.
Yeah.
We can easily, I'm sure they'd be happy to give us an estimate on paving some of these other roads while they're here. It would be time to do it. It'd be the cheapest, because the more they can do, the cheaper you're going to get it.
So you had an estimate on Mill Road, County Road, Mill Road,
Yeah, it was $600.
all the way to Doug's house, right?
Yeah, I know that was dirt cheap. We should just pull the trigger on that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're talking. It's not $1 million.
No, that's extremely cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was like $1 million a
That would be-
mile.
Well, that's what they tell you in the city, but they got a lot of.
Well, it's
Other
also
stuff to
not,
That's true.
you're gonna get 2 inches one year, 2 inches the next year.
Yeah.
And typically, and people can argue this all day long, like, well, the road's not built for it. Well, the main road was built for it at one point, and drive up that, and you tell me it's all full of frost heaves. So
Oh, yeah.
Right.
it doesn't really matter if you.
They paved it what? A year ago? 2 years
A
ago?
few years back. It doesn't really matter. It's the northeast.
Sure.
You're never going to get
You're
a
gonna
completely control of Mother Nature.
Yeah.
You're just trying to make it the best.
So
Now, if
as
you
far as I'm
paved,
concerned, a bad paved road is better than a good gravel road any day.
if you paved Mill Road, then you would go with a chip seal and later on down the road.
Yeah, later on you can
Okay.
chip seal.
So that's what you take.
Yeah.
Your maintenance on the paved roads is chip sealing, which is a lot.
a lot
less
cheaper.
expensive,
Yeah.
yeah.
Once you have it, the maintenance is. Plus, it doesn't. You do it every 10 years or something like that.
In that
It's
bid,
done every 10 years, and you're going to get to the point where the skill level of the employees doesn't have to be the same.
Right.
If we could pave, think about this, our grader's almost 30 years old. I'm constantly trying to keep that thing tight enough to make the road good. I mean, it's going to beat to death up and down these roads for almost 30 years.
Yep.
You want to buy a new one? I mean, that's going to cost a lot of money right there.
It's going to be a third at least of the blacktop.
It's a few $100,000.
Yeah.
Where if you pave some of these roads that I'm constantly grading, now the grader doesn't have to come out a couple times a week. Maybe it comes out once or twice a year, and you do what you have to do, and you can keep it around for another 20 years.
Dave, did you get an estimate on paving Jepson Road from one blacktop to the other blacktop?
I've never had an estimate on that.
But the one we
Because
have gives us a ballpark figure of what this one costs. So we take miles and say, okay, what's that? 2 miles?
No, it's probably a little longer.
It's right around 2 miles
Two.
Is it? Is
Yeah.
it one? Oh, it's
from the garage.
From the garage. Yep.
From the
So
garage, yeah.
So that's
so 2 miles
6,
compared
10.
to this one over here is probably a mile. So I'm not saying it's cut in half. You know how that is, but still.
That would be good.
If they're here and they're doing all that, you're going to get a lot.
And when they do it, they have to do it right. They make the road wide enough and all
It's
that
going to
good
be a
stuff.
20-foot wide road,
Yeah.
and
Now, if we get a mudslide, we get a mudslide.
Yeah, you just clean it up off the pavement
Right.
instead of the dirt.
Right. Doesn't wash the dirt away.
But that also, like, with the hydronically connected road segments where I'm constantly having to put all stone line ditching, but then the gravel road fills over the stone. I mean, the state would be ahead of the game to start putting more money into paving. Let's just pave Vermont and be done with it, because the way their regulations are going, they don't really want a dirt road because it's working against you every single day.
Right.
They're trying to hold on to some kind of nostalgia.
Yeah, but I mean, these chip seal roads are, I mean, that's a back road.
Sure is.
Like, and it's in your head. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna love your quality of life's gonna improve so much. You're not gonna. Yeah, I'm really gonna get sick of all the potholes and the.
Yeah, ask anybody on the road, it probably
And the
won't.
mud and yeah, they may fight it, but you believe me, you're not gonna be sick of dealing with it after.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's gonna cry about it later on.
Yeah.
The road.
Yeah,
is
the
too
speed
good.
will just increase.
Pretty fast now.
70-something miles an hour is
I
top
would
speed.
say that,
On
I
Mill
would
Road,
say that
yeah.
they're going to go as fast, but it'll be safer because, you know, they might be able to stop instead of slide off the road on the bumps, you know.
There's always something.
I don't know. I could argue it all day. I think we should pave every road in town and be done with it. And just
Well, the thing is with this, we got a bid for Mill Road.
yeah,
If that's the same company that does up here is going to do this,
yeah.
we ought to talk to them and say, if you're in town, what's your bid? I don't know how the process goes because that's a lot of money. We probably have to have a town vote or something. But I mean, we should look at that and say, I agree with Kurt.
The winter
Generation after generation is good. This is not going to go away. This is always going to be here, if not get worse. Right.
The winter time is so much easier on the blacktop road.
Yeah.
Especially when you get these freeze and thaw and the rain in the wintertime. I mean, I go around, throw a little salt down, there's no worries. You get up on the gravel road and in the rain, you just keep going around and around and sanding it and hoping for the best. Please
Yep.
stop raining.
Sure.
This winter, correctly if I'm wrong, was fairly decent as far as freeze thaw, freeze
Yeah,
thaw,
just
freeze
stay
thaw.
cold.
Like in the
Yeah,
middle of
stay cold.
February, that's even worse.
Yeah, I mean, we lucked out and didn't have much rain this winter because the rain is a nightmare in the winter up on gravel roads. It just,
Can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
yeah, you just have to babysit them
Mhm.
until it's done. You know, it's a nightmare for me. I can't just go throw salt on and go home and go to bed. I have to stay up and babysit these things to make sure that, you know, people can get in and out and ambulances can get there. And I don't know if you quite understand how much dedication it takes to deal with these roads. It's almost a nightmare.
Yeah.
Jim, how's your road this year, mud-wise? Because you always have a muddy spot up top there.
Not bad. You just put a bunch of stone on it.
Yeah. I know some years you just couldn't get
Some
through
years
very.
it's horrible. some-
Right.
You don't
It all
want
depends
four-lane
on the
car,
road.
you don't want four-lane car going by your house?
I live at the end, you know, so they
Right over to County Road, you connect.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else, Dave, on roads? And we got to think about that. And when they
No,
come here
I
and
know it's a
go
hard
for
bill to swallow, but
Well, I don't think it
Long
really.
run.
In the business world, it's not a bad thing.
And it's-
It's an investment.
It's an investment.
Your labor goes down. You're talking about Johnny not being there someday. Even if the gravel pit doesn't get shut down or anything,
Right.
John's not gonna be here forever either.
Right.
So that's the future. Is we're gonna be trucking
Buy the pit.
stuff in.
yeah.
Thank
Buy
you
the
for
gravel pit.
taking.
For how much? The same as blacktopping.
Taking what?
That's the thing.
Thank you for
Better than trucking it
entertaining
from
this
Chester.
conversation.
Yeah.
I think it was on our radar, I mean, we
Yeah,
have been
well-
talking about it.
I
Yeah.
just
Thank
want to
you.
make sure
You could
that
end up like the
we're
pit.
talking about it.
You know, employees are gonna cost you too.
Everything.
Okay, sir? Mike, right?
Thank you very much. My name is Mike Murphy. I'm a former resident of this town, 1984 to 94. So I'm a little late for the meeting, but...
Are you in the roads? Are you doing the roads here or what?
So I have a question, road question. Here representing my son, Aaron Murphy, who lives up on Sportsman's Road. And so he just had a question about what's going on with the project at the corner. His property is right on that corner there where there's some talk about doing.
Well, the Elias
Some work
were
on
just
that.
here, and the Eliases were just here, and they're coming 2 weeks. Dave is going to look into the study that we had done, but we haven't solved anything tonight.
So will there be a meeting at that time after that?
There'll be a
meeting? Yeah.
selectmen's meeting. Dave will present
Yeah.
his findings, but it's not going to be done in 2 weeks. If the state's involved, it's going to take a while. And
What do you
like
mean by a while? Do you mean months, years?
years.
Oh, okay, good. So he's just wants to know, his well is right there on the corner, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
just
And it
He's
involves
concerned,
culverts, study.
Yeah, I mean,
A&R.
depending on what you did there, you could
Yeah.
cause him a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And then they also have the Apple Wall is involved. They have rules.
right.
Yes.
So you have
Yeah.
It's just
Wow.
another whole competition
So
there.
at the
Yeah.
next meeting, Dave hopefully will have a few answers, and we'll see where we go from there.
So he'll be notified about that meeting and all that.
No, it'll be on just come in road conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Not
You would think they would
follow.
notify the surrounding
Yeah.
property owners before they start doing any kind of work.
I wouldn't
Oh, yeah.
anticipate any kind of like groundbreaking on this for years, if
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been down these roads before with projects. It takes quite a bit of time for the state involved.
Yeah, and if it
Yeah, I
were,
figured. I live in Pownell now, so same thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Just different place.
I don't think that. I think the quick, fix of what people are looking for would cause Aaron more trouble than.
Yeah.
And,
Which side of the road's he on
he's
looking
on the
down?
right
On
side.
the right?
Yes, if he's
So,
right there, and it-
Instead
there's
of
a stream on his property which he really values.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that would be affected by this whole thing probably, because it's,
Yeah.
well,
that's
he
where the
would,
water's coming from.
if that structure could take all that water, he probably would get flooded out.
Right.
The fact that it overflows the road now and runs down the other side is probably saving him from having a problem.
Water's always looking for equilibrium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
they'll find it somewhere.
Yep.
but the project that the state's kind of looking at is just realigning the brook up the road more and having it not even go anywhere near his place. Although he would still get,
I didn't think
some
they
water down
even-
through there, but.
I mean, look what I went through. They didn't even consider realigning the brook, and
Yeah.
they're okay with
Diverting or
Yeah.
reeling. Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's why I'm surprised they were even going there,
Yeah.
because they're gonna have to go on private property.
Right.
And that was the big deal. They couldn't get our neighbor to
Consent
go
to
back
it.
there, and yeah. So
But even the stream that's coming down from the woods, I don't know whose stream that. How are you going to stop that? That's still going to flow down there.
And it comes through a stone wall, which at one time it's kind of odd, like maybe the water didn't even come down through there and
Yeah.
now there's a river there.
Been changed over the course of
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that new culvert up the road is going to, well, take some of the water, but how is it going to? Nothing's going to
guarantee
change
that
down by that little stream and culvert. It's
It
still
wouldn't
going to
be
come down there.
problem-free.
No, I don't
No,
think so.
no structure problem.
So we could pay upward to $500,000-$600,000 on a project that
Yeah,
doesn't
Oh,
those-
work.
Yeah, you're talking Act 250, going through people's property, creating a stream bed. I have no idea what that would
Yep.
cost,
Yeah.
but it's not cheap. Way more than we budget for, I can tell you that.
So next meeting, there might be some answers.
Yeah.
Some answers, meaning but then plans would have to be done.
Definitely.
Right, all that stuff, which
Yep.
would take a long time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, anything else on roads? Recycling?
No, everything's been going
Okay.
okay there.
I have some stuff on recycling. I attended an alliance meeting yesterday by Zoom. The household hazardous waste facility will be opening up soon in Bennington. And the 18 to 21 weeks, depending on the weeks there or when they open and who can man the site. This year we have to renew the solid waste implementation plan. The draft will be on the Alliance website. It's about 60 pages long if anybody wants to read it. We are required to renew that every 5 years, and the state does check and see if we go to what our outreach program is to schools, businesses, what we're doing for recycling. Do we have a place to put textiles? And there's just a lot, and paint care, and so there's a lot into it that we have to follow. And every town does need a solid waste implementation plan. This is the state. So Bennington County Regional Commission, we have the alliance of 13 towns got together, hired Bennington County Regional Commission to oversee all this for us. And there's no way all these little towns could do this on their own. New state laws coming, something about extended user. We don't know exactly how that's going to work because they haven't finished tweaking the bill, but there is a bill in the legislature that might come through and affect the household hazardous waste. We don't know what it is, but they're giving us heads up. On the solid waste implementation plan, like I said, it's on the web. It will be on the website after March 26th. So there will be a public meeting in Manchester, public meeting in Bennington. The board of our alliance board has to approve it, and then it goes to all 13 towns for the select board to approve the plan. If we're interested, 2 representatives could come down to our select board meeting and answer questions if you're interested in having them down, and this would be in May or June, and the SWIP plan is due back to the state June 30th. So what's your thoughts on having someone come down to explain it or read it on your own?
Not really gonna change anything.
Right, it's good.
No.
They're gonna explain something that's mandated.
Yep.
Yeah, I can read it.
Okay. That's how
We got too much on the agenda for me to go into recycling, but
Yep. The haulers, all our known haulers in Stamford are registered, and they have to be registered also with the state. So the alliance is keeping track of that. Every town, next meeting. Okay, that's it. Oh, the other thing is, I've been a representative to the alliance board for probably 10 years. Most of our meetings are by Zoom. They are once a quarter, probably an hour from 4 to 5. And I'm going to step back from that. If anyone on the board is interested, raise your hand.
I'm a lame duck selectman.
I'm lamer than you, so.
This is my last.
So if anybody wants to attend the alliance meeting,
Not it.
we need a representative. Okay. Just giving heads up. That's all on recycling. Anything else? Any questions? Okay. Discussion. Ethics Commission update. On the Ethics Commission, Doug has done a lot of work on this. He's given us a great outline of how we do the investigation and enforcement. But one of the things is we have to appoint a designated complaint recipient, right, to investigate. Say there's a complaint went to the state, state sends it back to us.
Right, yeah.
Who is going to receive this
I thought that
complaint?
was what Doug was doing.
Yeah, well, I was
He's
just kind
been-
of doing it.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, I did mention another name I thought might be,
Right. So
Yeah,
Doug is we appointed you as liaison.
yeah.
So when there is a complaint, do we appoint somebody at that time? Do we appoint 3 people right now, Doug and 2 other people, to be on this committee to investigate the complaint? Do we appoint them for a year? Do we appoint one as needed?
Can you explain to me the process? So I know we talked about it in length last meeting. So we decide, let the state decide, okay? So it goes up to the state from a complaint. State says, yes, we agree, we believe there's a violation. Sends it back down to, let's say they send it back down to you. Then you go and you're gonna investigate what? What do you
Well, I would
investigate?
think that the state would say, you know, okay, this is what we have deemed, you know, like you said, in the case they find somebody in violation. And they would let us know or make recommendations what we should do. I think, I mean, just the basic outline would be whoever's doing the investigation, talk to the people involved, obviously, read over or review the complaint that was made, you know, just touch all the bases, and then bring it back to the board, and the board would make the select board, you know, make recommendations. This is what, you know, as Nancy said, there's different recommendations, things that you can do if somebody's in violation, and talk about what they think would be appropriate.
So the state will guide us
Yeah.
with recommendations. And the reason why I'm asking this is, you know, when we talked about it last time, if there, and I'm going to call it common sense.
Yeah.
We know there's a violation.
Yeah.
It's almost, there's some violations that are iffy, but other ones are black and white, I think. And we see it, but we let it go to the state comes back, says that they agree that it's a violation, then they give us recommendations. I guess my question is, do you know how long this process is going to take? It's going to be.
I don't think they know up there. This is just getting, as I said, getting started from my conversations.
Yeah. I mean, I'll let it play through. I'm not saying I don't want to let it play through. I'm just thinking there's difference between perceived violations and outright you know that there's a violation.
Right.
And if it takes 6 months for that to get fixed, and while that violation's happening, it's continuing to happen, whatever it is, it kind of, and I'm not talking about like the ones we were talking about while there's a conflict of interest. I'm talking about blatantly knowing that the treasurer's stealing money.
Well, then that would be a law enforcement.
But we don't, that's what I'm saying.
There's nothing that says you couldn't call in law enforcement. I mean, that's an extreme violation.
Yeah.
It's a violation of...
What if there's a violation, like I mentioned last week, a sexual harassment charge? So it's he said, she said. You know, and that's continuing while we wait. It bothers me that I wish I knew the timeline, and I know you don't. And it's not against you at all. I just wish this whole subject that's coming up now, letting the state guide us, it bothers me a little bit, and I just wish there was a better way. I'm not saying I have a better way.
There is no timeline. We've never seen the timeline.
And it's not. Look, I'm not trying to argue about it. It just bothers me.
Okay, something I want to explain here. I don't like having the state involved any more than you or anybody else does. I don't like having the federal government come in, but there are times where we need to. And my big recommendation for sending it through the state is objectivity. Because we get it here, you know, we try to get too involved before there's some kind of an outline to follow. Oh, geez, you know, Mike's a friend with this guy, or Doug's a friend with this guy. But up in Montpelier, nobody knows or likely who you are or whatever. You're going to get an objective statement.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to go through. And I think if we follow that, and as far as how much time it takes.
And when it comes back, I hope that there's a guideline from the state, because if it comes back to Doug, and just like you were saying, we didn't want Doug to decide because he's a friend of this person, and it comes back to Doug to make the investigation, we're back right where we started.
In that case, if there was a situation like that, then I would say give it to somebody else.
Maybe we should have a 3-man committee.
Well, I don't know about a committee. Like I said, have a couple people that could be.
That's what I was thinking, because that's just the same. Pete, what's your question?
I think you jumped the gun just a smidgen. So I agree with everything that you're saying in terms of if there has been deemed a conflict of interest. that the state will come down with some recommendations, but you're leaving out the fact that the state is going to receive a complaint, and then they're gonna come to you and say, investigate it. And they're gonna hand it to you, and then somebody else needs to investigate that complaint.
That's
Again,
what we're trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do.
We're trying to figure out who's going to
My point
investigate.
My point is that if you start having people on the board, I think a committee, and we had talked about this, I think, in the initial time, and I don't know if you want to call it a committee or whatever you want to call it, but if you have something, let's say, that goes against, or something from the board, somebody's made a complaint against you guys, now neither one of you can even talk about it and have a conversation about it, so then what?
Well, okay, first of all, what I am is the liaison, I'm a contact point.
That's
Right.
it.
So that's what they're gonna do, well, pretty much, but I've taken on a lot of this other stuff on my own. But, no, I'm a liaison, so they're gonna contact me and say, this is what we found, this is what I'm gonna ask them, what do you think we need to do, where do we go from here?
You're
And-
you're saying that the state might not make a decision, they're gonna ask for an investigation before the decision.
Because it may just be somebody.
Someone's work,
Just
yeah.
that isn't worth
Yeah.
anything.
Right.
And they don't know.
Well, it could happen every day.
So
Yeah.
they're gonna pass it down and say, listen, Doug, we received this complaint. Now here you go.
Okay.
Now you gotta have an investigation.
Right.
And again, they frown upon the liaison actually.
I haven't heard that yet.
Well, I was sent in the email. I mean, she was clear as day and said that it's actually frowned upon that the liaison is the actual person doing the investigation.
Well, I'll have to talk to her about that, because that was never said to
I
me.
sent the email, I think, to a couple people in here, and so.
Well,
forget the
I do
whole
like-
thing.
I didn't see it.
Either way, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it.
But I do like the idea of having someone not on the board, just in case the
Right.
board is involved in
I think
it.
it would behoove the town
Sure.
to actually have these people that can, actually do an independent, kind of investigation, and then though, they don't necessarily have to be a position of authority, they can just respond and say, here you go, Doug,
Well-
here's the information that we came across, or if it involves you guys, they can go right back to the state with it and say, here you go, we've done this investigation. Then the state would come in and say, well, maybe we need to dig a little bit and go, and then they might give the recommendation.
Well, what my understanding is that, like when I said sending it up to the state, they may just say, that's what I'm hoping in some cases, they're just gonna say, and they're better able to say it than we are, I don't see a problem here. Because like you said, you may have the perception of something, but they may look at it for whatever reason and say, no, we don't have a problem. And then if they say, send it down, for an investigation, we can adjust as we need to. As I said, the select board can pick anybody they want or assign anybody they want. So obviously, if it comes down against me, obviously, I hope you know me well enough, I'm not going to investigate myself. That makes no sense. But then, in this case here, then the board gets together, I'll recuse myself, and they can appoint an investigator. And the other thing about the investigator, you need to have somebody, it's not just, well, I'm going to look into it, you should have somebody that has some kind of a background. It doesn't have to be a law enforcement investigator, it doesn't have to be some kind of a criminal investigator.
No, we're
but
talking
there's-
ethics, not
Yeah.
law. Yeah.
No, the other thing I'm saying though, people that understand a procedure about an investigation. You get the basic information, you talk to the people, what you need to collect to make your point, is what I'm saying.
I think Jim on
Somebody
the
who's
ball.
maybe been through an academy or some kind of actual training,
Didn't Jim
that
volunteer?
dealt with investigations
No.
would be, for sure.
I thought Jim Stimson raised his hand when I was
Both me
talking
and
about
Any
Jim,
member of the
Yeah.
and both of us, well, Jim was an actual police officer and I was.
Yeah.
reserve
We're talking ethics. I
You know,
mean,
and I was also, I worked in the corrections for some time as well, so I'm definitely interested. I said at the first meeting, I'll say it again, and Jim said it too. He's interested, and I'm interested if you're gonna make a committee, throw my hat in the ring.
I think,
So, go ahead, Deb.
it doesn't, I agree with Doug, I agree with Pete. I think if it's going to be some sort of investigation that a law has been broken,
Well, that's something else.
it's ethics. I mean, I have to take ethics twice a year. I have to take my training. And lots of people know procedures for ethics. You don't have to be a trained law enforcement officer to know how to conduct an ethical investigation.
Well, if I can answer or respond to that, like I said, there's a certain things anybody that does an investigation is going to do. And you need somebody that knows how to put the facts together and present them.
I don't
Yeah.
disagree. I don't
Yeah.
disagree. And I think you're selling short a lot of people who might want to, who are removed enough from the select board to be able to go in and do a pretty good
Well-
job. I mean, you don't, I had a problem with choosing a select board person to be even a liaison. I think it should have been totally removed from it. But that wasn't my decision, and I saw just issues with it, whether it was any of you. I really didn't think that was a good decision, but it's not my decision. You have many other quote-unquote employees that you could have pulled from. Committees, people that are paid the stipends just like you, that could have, because a lot of times the violations, and look, please do your research, but a lot of the violations are going to come from the core, here. I doubt, maybe, but, Lori's not going to be accused of sexual harassment or something.
I would never accuse her of that.
I know that. But do you know what I'm saying? I'm confused at this whole process.
Oh, we all are, because this is so new.
That's more like a law. I mean, sexual harassment would be a law, and
Right.
I'm sure
Law
they
and
have
ethics.
employee policy
So,
about
I mean, we're just talking ethics.
Yeah, so law and ethics are not the same.
So let's
Period.
go back to a designated complaint recipient. Who is going to receive the complaint? No, he's the liaison.
I'm the liaison,
He's the
but
liaison.
why couldn't I receive a complaint? Because
You could.
I'm a contact point.
You could.
Even if I don't do another thing,
So
I
I
am
think-
a liaison.
So
That's
we
what
have
it is.
to-
he should be the contact point, but I think we should probably have a committee.
That's what I'm
That
thinking.
would-
So we
The
should appoint.
investigative part of that. Like, I'm the
Yeah.
liaison for law enforcement. When the state troopers are coming to town, they contact me, say, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna be coming to town for traffic.
I mean, if Doug's comfortable.
Or
being
if
in
the
contact.
sheriff wants to say, hey, look, we wanna throw another bid into your town. Or if we have a problem, we need a sheriff for the elections or something, I can contact them. I have that contact information. That's all I am is a contact
Yeah.
guy. That's it. I don't say, well, I want you to patrol on Mill Road. That's not up to me. They come down, they patrol with it. I could give them, there's been problems on Mill Road if you're down there, but I can't tell them what to do.
So there's, I'm hearing that we want a committee of 3. Okay. And do we appoint people right now for a year? Or do we, 6 months, 3 months? Or do we wait until we have a complaint and then appoint?
I would.
Well, you can do that at any time. That's what they said.
So,
Yeah,
If we're going to have a committee, though, I would like to be included on that committee.
okay.
Because I feel I have the investigative background. I don't just feel it. I can show pretty much anybody.
All right.
Well, sorry, Pete.
You know, just opinion. I get it. I'm not saying that you don't have the background to do it. I just think that somebody on the board, it should be separate from the board because you're the contact person. So you got to have that separation for when the investigation is done, so that you can give the information.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm going to say is, unless somebody wants to tell me they don't think I have the ethics, or that I'm not honest enough, then tell me now.
Yeah, no, I don't think
Anybody
here questions
No.
your ethics or anything like that.
I think you're perfect for it.
questions your background. I just going by what the woman from the ethics committee, the supervisor, sent back an email that says it is frowned upon to have the liaison conducting the investigation. That is solely what I'm basing my conversation.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
well,
if
give
we
her a call,
appoint
see what she
3,
has
we're
to say.
okay.
I just
I
want to
think
say,
we're okay.
I think Doug's perfect for it. But the point I was trying to make last meeting that I think people are missing is that if you think you can move yourself into the situation, that's fine, but you're putting yourself at risk for a situation. Same thing I was trying to say about Sheila last week. You're putting yourself in line for a potential ethics violation.
So here's the other.
Just by staying involved.
Here's the other part of this.
Just remove yourself.
I think, at least, the other part of the equation is. So I taught ethics in the hunter safety course. That was my forte on the hunter safety for 21 years. I have to go and refresh myself at the state level. Ethics, in a nutshell, ethics is a opinionated thing. Okay.
Subjective.
Mm-hmm.
So what your code of ethics are might be different than my code of ethics.
Mm-hmm.
We might have some common ground, but there could be. This is where law is written down. It's black and white. It's against the law to do this. Ethically, you might agree that it's okay to shoot a guy breaking into your home. Right? The law says in the state of Vermont, we don't know. There's no castle law in the state of Vermont. Nothing. They have case studies, but that's it. I might say, well, you had a chance to get out the back door. Why would you kill someone? Or can you just shoot them in the leg? Right? So my code of ethics is different. And that's just an example. I'm not trying to get in. But what I'm trying to say is the other half of this equation, if you look at the title of this, is conflict of interest. That's those things the state has come down and showed us that there are certain things that are black and white. Not everything, but certain things. Like a select board member cannot have her job. We can't have it. State says no. So when you investigate, that's an easy one. Is there a conflict of interest? Mike's running for town clerk or treasurer. No, can't do it. Okay, so that goes to where you were saying, well, you're on this committee, you're on this board, and this board. If you look at the state telling us, can you do it? The answer is yes. Now you go to the ethics part of it. Is it ethically right? You don't think it is. Okay? And say Sheila, when she was here, said, I think it is. And neither one of you, neither Sheila or you, are saying that you're not calling out their integrity.
No.
And that's one thing with Doug is no one, I'll tell you, no one in this room is calling out your integrity, that's for sure. I think you're one of the most honest guys I've ever
But
met in
we're
my
also
life.
not making these laws for right
The
now.
perception, though, is what you guys are talking about, and that goes back to the conflict of interest part of it. Is there a perception that Doug sitting on the board of selectmen and Doug doing an investigation, is there a perception of a conflict? And if people decide there is, then there could be a problem. I'm not questioning his integrity or his honesty or anything. I would have no problem. Go ahead, investigate.
Never been about that.
Right. And that's the problem we're having, though, is not everyone in this town is sitting at this meeting right now. Not everyone in this town is interested in it until it hits them. And then they're going to come down and say, oh, what the hell? Mike Denault's 2 daughters and his son are on the committee? Mm-hmm. You know, they're investigating Mike? That's not fair. You know, so there's going to be conflict. And we got to make sure we can I kind of nip it in the bud. And that's why I like more than one person. And I do agree, you can be on it, but you can also say, I recuse myself.
Well, I would
anything to do with the board, you're going to have to.
So let's go back to the first question. We want to appoint 3 people. Yes. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And
you want 3 cops on the board?
No. If somebody I was thinking somebody from the public that has no connection with the town at all, not on any boards, anything, and then maybe someone from a board. So that's my opinion. Should we ask for?
I say we take whatever 3 show up, the volunteers.
Jim's not here. I don't know if he did or not say he would be on it. Maybe we should reach out to him and get it in black and white.
Well, I think we should put something in the minutes. Anyone interested? Let's give everybody a chance.
Pete said he's in.
We know.
And Jim has expressed interest.
We know we got a couple people that are interested, but I want to be fair to the whole town. Maybe we got a lot of people that want to be on this.
Then what?
Then we appoint three. Then we
When
appoint
we
three.
do, and I hate to beat this up forever, but well, I don't know everything about it yet because it's new.
It's very
So
new.
I do have questions. When the investigation comes on, and say you deem the investigation, the three people on it go, yep, there's a problem. Ethically, there's a problem. Then what? Then what do we do? Do we spank them? Do we punish
This-
them?
There you go.
There's some stuff in there.
It's coming.
Okay.
There's some stuff in
Okay.
there.
It's coming.
But I think the purpose of the investigation is not to deter them. The purpose of the investigation is to gather facts
Facts.
and
Yeah.
present them
Back to the state.
state.
No.
No,
No.
no, no.
Well, why, we could come through and say, this is what we found. We have found a perceived conflict of interest, but here you go. Because we can't, we're not the judgment, you're not the judgment. The state ultimately will make the decision if there's a conflict of interest.
No.
No, that's definitely not the way
No.
it works.
That's what
Nope.
she said.
Well, like I
Nope.
said, I'm gonna have to have a talk with her because apparently she told us a couple different things. I haven't been in contact with her as much as you appear to have. But, no, the idea is ultimately it comes back to the select board.
The
But the
board.
point is that gathering the facts, putting them in some sort of a logical framework that they can be understood, and then present them to the board. All I'm saying as far as sending it up to the state, they may say, we don't see anything here. Okay, that's fine. Or they may say, yeah, there's a violation, and then that's where the investigation goes.
So Doug, if they say they don't see anything, then it's over?
I would think
But
so.
if they say they see something, then we're ultimately the judge.
Yes,
Yep.
yep.
It goes to the investigating committee and then presented to the select board.
That's why I was saying too last week, I think we do have some level of ability to change these things preemptively. If we think there's a violation out there, we can sit here and change it right now.
No, but, see, this is what I'm saying, Kurt, is that if we have a process here, you know, here we are talking about making a process. Okay, we got the process, now let's make some exceptions. And that in itself raises questions or ethics. That's what I'm trying to say.
It could, but I do think some things are black and white. And
Yeah,
they're
but again, like Mike said, what you think is black and white may not be what
Right.
somebody else thinks. This is why I'm so much on the process is that, okay, here's the guidelines we follow, and as long as we stick by those guidelines, we've done due diligence. Nobody can accuse us otherwise. That's all my point.
Okay, so if Lori puts in the minutes, we're looking for someone to serve on this committee. Get your resume into us next meeting.
Is it really a committee or is it just investigators? And then when it comes there, we hand it out to whoever.
You really want a pool of
Designate.
potential
Yeah,
Yeah.
investigators, and there's no need for you to assign them until you have a problem.
Right. That's what we could.
okay, that's
Kind of like
actually,
a
that's
jury
good.
pick.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's good.
rotation.
Good way of doing it, yeah.
They can be different ones every.
Right. And we could say,
Right, because why would we
If it's-
appoint somebody that
right,
is
if
friends
it's a
with
violation
me?
against me,
Yeah.
then you're gonna pick
At
someone
the
that's
time that
not.
it might happen, you may know that there are some of those people who have offered to be an investigator who shouldn't be involved
Right.
in that.
Right.
The long-term thing that's even worse is, I don't know who's gonna make the decision, but there's legal ramifications once you make a decision. If somebody's not happy with, if they want to appeal it,
Does it
Some of
relate
that's,
to one?
some of that's in here.
if they claim that they've got financial loss or civil loss because of the decision
Yeah,
they've
that's
made.
crazy.
Some of that is in here. Some of it.
One of the things is
I'm sorry.
Oh, those
These are our tax dollars at work.
I think I've seen a couple, like,
Yeah.
verbal complaints in the last 10 years, but they kind of just, you know, all right, well, it is what it
Goes to
is.
Superior
But, I
Court
mean,
after.
yeah.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like this is going to open up a whole bunch of them,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
We're so polarized now, I'd be surprised if it didn't open up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wait and see what happens there. And Doug did the outline, he's got a great outline based on an ordinance which we have to figure out and adopt, but it should be ready by next meeting.
And this is what we're gonna post on, there's a couple things we have to
Yes.
post online. right?
Yep. Yeah, we still got the list of those. So, let's see, ordinance. I think the ordinance was from VLCT, right? Or that's where you got it from, yeah. Ethics, investigation, and enforcement. And it went along all with your outline. Okay, we'll work on that, see who we get for the pool. Ethics investigation pool.
Ooh.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Now,
Probably the biggest pool of candidates we've seen in a long time.
I doubt it. I don't think so. Now we want to review the conflict of interest policy. We've had this policy, I think, years based on VLCT's model, and this is just a newer model to bring it up to date. So we sent this to you. Everything, of course, you can't see the yellow, but you can see the strikeouts. The yellow or gray parts are all the new ones that's recommended by the LCT.
Are we reading all this now?
Well, I hope you are able to read some of it at home.
Doesn't sound like Kurt did. Kurt, come on.
It was never good at homework.
Yeah.
Right.
Like no one else read it either at the length that you guys read.
Right.
No, I actually did read it right here.
Right,
Yeah.
No, when the email came in, I read the subject. That's all I've talked about tonight.
But I did find an error.
Thank you. Thank you. Doug read it. Very close.
I don't know, what do we gotta sign it? Motion to sign. With correction.
Huh? With the correction.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely.
So I have a question, Doug, maybe you can answer is, there's a difference between boards, appointed boards versus elected positions.
Yeah.
What do you do when there's an elected official does something wrong and they're elected by the public? How do you discipline them?
That's in here. There's some things. It can be an admonishment. A member of the board can volunteer to take that person aside and try to talk with them about it, resolve it that way.
Mm-hmm.
There can be, like I said, a public or private censure, depending on what the person who is accused wants. And ultimately, I guess you would have to, the extreme, it's not in here,
No.
but the only way to remove an elected official is, it's like an election, you've got to get a certain number of people. I forget what the percentage is. Something like 30%?
66%.
Is it 60? It's a pretty
No,
high
it's
percentage.
two-thirds.
You have to get like that signed by the people.
I'm not positive.
And that, yeah, it's up there. It's high.
Yeah.
And then then we have a special election with whether the
It's like an
people
impeachment almost.
want
Right.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
do the people
Vote
want
them
to
out.
vote
Yeah.
them out? But that's the only way it can be. But there's a bunch of less
Right.
strenuous things here.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can sign it. And I'm not even sure we're going to get that many of them. I mean, maybe, as far as complaints.
Well, we've gotten one so far, and this wasn't even
Okay, so
In place yet.
you, John made a motion to sign it, right?
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So, we'll get this signed for next meeting, and it'll be in effect as of tonight, but, oh, wait, we better wait till we sign it.
I'll date it 2 weeks from now when you sign it, and then it'll be
Okay.
official then.
Yep. And then, like you said, it came right off the VLCT website, so hopefully they know what the law is. Okay. Review transfer station monitor job description. We saw the old one that said they have to check for stickers on the car, so that's been out for quite a while. They're required to wear the protective equipment such as face shield and gloves, and don't need that anymore. Dave, Lori, and I went over this the other day. Dave's suggestions, Lori's suggestion. This transfer station is open to the public every Saturday from 8 to 12 noon. Summer hours beginning, ending last Wednesday in October, are from 3 to 6. Okay. Principal duties of the transfer station monitor: arrive 15 minutes early to set up the compost and aluminum, glass, etc. disposal barrels. Was there another barrel there?
No, it was like a demo barrel.
Just say aluminum, glass, etc. Okay. In winter months, check for icy areas, sand and salt is needed. I'm not sure we need number 3. Monitor the operation of the transfer station in Stamford, Vermont. Well,
That's the job.
Yes.
take it out.
Then you gotta renumber all it.
It's a computer, it does it
The
easy.
transfer
And it
station
makes me,
monitor, you probably
yeah,
would assume that you'd have to monitor the transfer.
You think?
yeah. Provide guidance for proper separation and disposal of a variety of materials. Collect appropriate fees for all demolition material, appliances, tires, and accepted items. Do we still take tires? Okay. Secure money box with receipts in the town garage. Probably that should be like at the end somewhere there. I'm thinking that. Did I write that? Yeah, try to go
Maybe
down.
after 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Punch cards for patrons according to the trash bags delivered. Punch cards. Maintain an orderly flow of patrons through the facility. Maintain records of townspeople not complying with the recycling regulations and report same to the select board or town office. Because we're
Should we call them all patrons or townspeople? Can we pick one? Townspeople?
patrons. Because we have patrons up there, right? Punch card yeah. Yeah, because some are
Can
second
you get a,
homeowners that have buy the punch cards.
can you get a punch card if you're not a resident of Stamford?
Yes, the
So then
second
you-
homeowner.
So
What
then
about
you'd
if you
be a
don't have
patron,
land or anything?
not
Can
a
you do it?
person.
No. Do they need a house?
Yeah.
If you have land,
Absolutely.
You can't just come from North Adams and
Yeah,
sell
you have to be a
them.
taxpayer in town.
right,
It's
Well, taxpayers' land.
But it's partially funded by taxpayers.
Right.
Money. This
Yeah.
isn't fully funded.
well, it
by-
should be, you're right. Very good.
If you just own land, then you're paying taxes, so.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
I would agree with that.
Put a tent on.
Right, you own land and you bring your trash up for North Adams, there's not much you can do about it.
I don't remember what the recycling rules say if you have to have a.
Well, I just don't like in North Adams, you can
Buy it,
you
yeah,
can buy an out of state or
yeah,
whatever.
you can buy a permit,
There's an extra fee.
correct.
I don't think we do that.
I don't think so either.
No, we shouldn't.
No.
I think we had this discussion back as it related to contractors working in town, right? Whether it was cheaper to
Only
take
allow
their
resident
material from other sites and
resident buys
It had to be
and
resident.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, yeah, that's what I mean, you don't wanna, the tires, getting rid of the tires up here is cheaper than going anywhere else. You know, all of a sudden I'm going, hey, I'll take all your tires for $6, bring them up here and sell them for $5. you know, or get rid of them for $5, making $1 a tire, you know. People will do that stuff, that's, you know, we don't wanna.
So
And
is
the
it,
It could happen though.
so is it townspeople or patrons?
Patrons, because we do,
Taxpayers, whatever.
second
you wanna call it.
homeowners up in Alpenwald buy tickets,
I think a
right?
person that owns a camp or a piece of land and they wanna bring a bag of, you know, leaves or junk, well, I mean, we have people picking up stuff up there at the camps, just, I mean, it's good that they're doing it, don't tell them no,
Right.
you know? They'll just leave it up there.
There should be a resident or a property owner.
Yeah, property,
Yeah.
property owners, yeah.
There's your rental people that, you know,
Yeah,
use it too.
sure.
Yep. So change it to patrons.
You never had any big problems. I know.
Keep recycling yard neat and orderly. Another spelling? Oh, Doug, did I? Oh.
No, I'm just trying to,
Responsible to the select board and road commissioner for supervision and guidance. I'd like to switch that around, do road commissioner first and then select board, because Dave is probably there. They probably see Dave more than us. Might catch you on a Wednesday or a Saturday morning. Stay 15 minutes after closing to put away barrels and close up the transfer station. And 13, perform other related duties as determined by the road commissioner and select board. Anything else we want to add to this that we can think of? Okay, so date it and sign it. We'll all sign it. Next meeting. Can I have a motion to approve as corrected?
Motion to approve.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we'll give a copy to the monitor.
Yeah, maybe hang it up in the
Oh,
little
good
shed
idea.
too.
Good idea. Okay. FEMA update, Lori.
So finally, FEMA has paid the remaining $64,000 of road damages that we've been working for what, 2 years now? So I'm really happy about that. The only thing that they still owe is the category Z, which is mine and David's time administering the grants, taking them around, measuring the road and different pieces of information that we had to gather and submit, taking pictures, the guardrail problems, he was involved in a lot. So all of that administrative time was added up and submitted another $4,800. So that is the only thing at this point we're waiting for.
They probably drag your feet, hope you drop the ball and give
Yep.
up on it.
Well, think about
Make
it.
a note.
If you drag your feet on every single piece of property in this country, this is national, for 2 years and put that in the bank, that's pretty good money.
We've been fighting and arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over
Yep.
some stuff, it's just so ridiculous.
I mean, there's been other projects that have been way over 2 years. Yeah.
I mean, they wanna go back and try to measure holes that have been filled in for.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to do that?
How much dirt is in a
Go out there,
hole?
dig a hole, measure it, and fill it
Yeah.
back in. Yeah.
Yeah, how much dirt is in a hole, you know, 3 feet by 10, 2 feet? None, we dug a
Yeah, the
hole.
state has way over
All of
some
that.
Yeah.
We dug a hole, there's no dirt in it.
It's like we bought this much dirt, it all went on this road.
Here's where it went.
That, figure out the hole.
Here's the
They
picture.
went
Oh.
on the
Yeah,
sub base
exactly.
and the top base and the rock base, I mean,
It's just crazy.
Laura, you can go out and work on the road.
I'm happy we got those sheet.
Yep. Okay, that's good. We'll watch for category Z.
yeah.
What else do we have under discussion? Dog or mowing bid?
I don't see
What do you
those
have
on
next?
here. I don't see those on here.
Well, we added them under new business.
Oh,
Yeah, what else can I tell you?
the mowing bid, did anybody contact you today About the mowing bid? Okay.
Why, do we have somebody new that wants to do it?
There's a Chad Lawrence, maybe?
Yeah,
Something like that?
let's put him on.
That was talking
Let's-
about it. I just sent an email to her, or a message to his father. And I said, just give Laurie a call and put you on the list. I didn't know if I don't have his contact, so I figured he could call you, put himself on the list. But if he didn't and you want to, I guess he's just started up, he's new.
Let's look at the mowing bid then, while we're talking about it. When do we want to accept the mowing bid? The mid-April one?
You need it soon because you're gonna want to clean up the yard.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that's top priority, cleaning the plow damage
Yeah.
Soon as possible.
before things start growing and.
Can we do it by next meeting? Kind of
You
tight?
didn't even send it out yet, right?
No.
No,
So-
once you guys approve it, it can be sent out.
Yeah,
So
I'd
you
say
wanna pick
get it
dates.
sent out 2 weeks and see what we get.
Yeah,
Have it here by April 3rd?
yeah.
Okay.
Not to step on your toes, Dave, but is that something you and Mike could potentially do?
Probably not.
I was just asking.
Probably not.
It's-
I mean, you gotta realize that
It's gonna
I'm
look
gonna go
terrible.
right now. I'm fixing mud. Then I gotta go spread gravel over all the stuff and fix. And then I gotta grade every single road in town.
I personally,
Yeah.
I don't understand why the janitor that does the lawn or the snow removal can't pick up the front yard.
Rich did.
But yeah,
Rich
that's
did.
another.
Rich was here, Rich did.
Yeah, simply like just putting the sod back where it's gotta go.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you guys want to direct me to do it, I will come down and do it. I'm not gonna fight you. I just know that I'm not gonna be doing the stuff I need to be doing. And then you're gonna have the roads start washing away because the rains start and I didn't get around to grade them. It's a matter of priorities. The front lawn is not on my hit list. But
I mean, it just looks kind of sloppy
yeah,
there.
no doubt about it. So isn't every road in town?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the only one in town, yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
need to have a sooner site visit. Enough time to get these out, have a
Oh.
site visit, and then have them have time to get their bid back by April.
How long do you figure it takes to get through the mail nowadays to the people?
Oh, gosh. 3-4 days.
So Monday, they'll probably get it Monday.
If it's the same one bidder every year, do we have to have a site visit?
Well,
He's visited.
Well, we gotta
Yeah.
send it out to all the
Like
people
4 or
now.
5 of them this year.
yeah.
So why don't we make the site visit?
So
say
they
next
sent it out to
Thursday,
4 or
next
5
Friday?
last year, and it was like him and myself were the only ones that responded back.
Next Thursday, the 27th.
327.
Yep. And 328.
I have a question about the ditch that runs along this fence line here. There's a ditch to where Nancy's parked currently,
Yep.
and then it's just like the ditch to nowhere,
Yeah.
and it just runs into the parking lot. So when you're talking about cleaning out the ditchway, are we just cleaning out that short portion of the ditch, or are we trying to fix the ditch problem?
I mean, it really kind of just runs into the fence down here.
Yeah, it's
You can clean it out, but and it slowly does drain. I mean, at one point I did have it draining. It's just not perfect. I mean, unless you're gonna run a ditch all the way down to the brook.
I think this just means like cleaning out.
yeah. So there's the ditch is just like that
Picking up the
50-foot
sticks,
ditch.
you're not coming in with
And
asking.
then that's it,
If the leaves were raked out of it every year, it would still be functioning fairly well, but I think they kind of dropped the ball on it for a few years there.
Yeah.
They really weren't dealing with it, and I don't think Sheila wanted to deal with it at all, so.
Right.
Did Rich deal with it, you think? I don't know
I
if
think
he
Rich
did.
did a lot of things that he didn't just even mention,
Right.
He probably
Right.
saw the water wasn't flowing, so he went over with a shovel and
Rich was dedicated to the job.
Yep.
Going back to what we talked about a million times.
Yeah.
It says remove debris from ditch along fence on northern line of property. So the fence goes down pretty far. So if they remove the debris from there,
Yeah.
yeah. There's really no ditch over there. It's just
Is that a
the edge
state?
of
Is
the
that
parking
a
lot.
state ditch? Is
It
that
is.
a highway ditch?
it's low. Well, yeah. I mean, there's
Well, I was told that the highway, the
Yeah,
state
the culvert's
ordered
up
it.
there.
Yeah.
Then there's like a 50-foot ditch, but then it just stops.
So they should, I mean, they.
I
they really gotta
actually did
consider-
dig that out with our excavator at one point, probably 7-8 years ago, something like leaves and
Sure.
sticks and everything builds up, and it's not.
It's basically collecting all the flow from Stebbins Lane, right?
Yeah.
And there's branches in there now, a
Right.
couple big
The leaves
branches.
are a big thing.
Yep.
You know, once the leaves get in there and then they
Yep.
start rotting and the sticks lose.
It's
It's
mud.
something that should be probably raked out and cleaned out and every spring, and then it wouldn't be as much of an issue, but.
So, site visit 27th or 28th, I will not be here either day.
Want to do Wednesday? Wednesday evening? I
I
mean,
could
that
do
doesn't
it,
have to be
but-
a select board meeting or Thursday.
No,
You could do it whenever.
any
you
select board member could come that's familiar with the lawn and where it's gotta be mowed.
I mean, I can try to be here. When was it?
It's Thursday or Friday next week at 5 o'clock, or whatever time you choose.
I think a big part of the issue down here is we really haven't paid a whole heck of a lot to have it done.
Like John said, for the price we've been paying,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
you're lucky you're getting anybody.
For everything that you really want to have done here, you're gonna have to pay more. It's,
Right. I know we put a line item in the select board report budget, but I know we're gonna go over that because we have no idea. We can't hold them to that. What do we charge? 3,000 or whatever it is.
No, but we were, last year we said, let's do this. Now, if you start adding stuff, of course it's gonna go over, you know?
Yep.
Well, they didn't do the ditch. Well, it didn't say that before. Now it
That's
does.
right.
You know, well, he didn't, weed eat around the thing. You know, there's more to it. And if we keep complaining about the guy, he's just gonna say, I would complain if he was doing a bad job. But when we complain that the guy's not doing things that weren't on his list, and we're only paying him that much money, pretty soon it's gonna go, I don't need this job.
Here's the price figure. I'll leave it.
Yeah, there's no money in mowing Stanford's lawn, you know?
No.
So Kurt, you wanna be here on the,
27th at what time?
what time? You pick. 5,
Yeah,
6,
5:30?
say 5:30.
5:30.
really, it should be part of the janitor's job. That should be part of the summer job.
I said that.
Buildings and ground, buildings and ground.
You know,
Every other school
over
they
in
do.
Clarksburg it used to be. I don't know if it still is, but when I was there, it
They
was.
have to give them a lawnmower and
Yeah.
a place to park it.
Sure, but
Yep.
it just seems like
Gas
there's so many of
cards.
these things down here that we really should be done, but they haven't been done. And
Oh, I look at it
They're
like
a man
this. You
again.
got a janitor that in the wintertime shoveling snow
They're a
and
man
snow blowing.
again.
And in the summertime, what's he doing?
But then you're gonna have
You
to
know,
have
I
another
think you
janitor.
want to
You're
pop
gonna
away
have
from
one
all
guy
that
cleaning
janitor
and one
fuel
guy
to
doing
get
the
out in the
yard.
zero turn and mow the lawn for a little while.
Right? We need a Forrest Gump. That's what we need.
Yeah, yeah.
They're here 40 hours a week all year long. Is he 40 hours a week?
I don't know,
Imagine they're
you
gonna
can't
say in the
really clean the kids in
summertime,
the
they
classroom.
strip and wax all the floors.
He doesn't do it though.
No.
They hire somebody to
Yeah,
strip
Does
and wax
strip and
them.
wax the
Yeah,
floor?
it's,
No,
Does he
that's
clean?
somebody else.
well,
What's the contract?
you tell me.
Moves furniture.
What's in the janitorial contract? Empty trash?
It's not our contract. That's the problem.
Okay, so we're okay with the job description and specifications. Okay for Lori to send this out ASAP. April 3rd, we'll get it back. Hopefully. And Kurt, you will meet with them.
Yes, Thursday at
Remember to
5:30.
sign it, Nancy?
Yes. Yep,
If anybody shows up.
yep.
I mean, Rich used to push
Yep,
out
call me when you have it done, I'll come right down.
corners when the sweeper was coming.
Yeah.
You know, none of that gets done now.
I mean, you go all the way back to your principal with Leo. There was things that he just did. You had a principal doing janitorial job, sweeping the floor when he had time.
He plowed the parking lot all
Teaching the
time.
kids gym class, and, taking them on hikes. Like Kurt said before, that's gone. We don't have that dedication.
Okay,
Some people have a job, some people live the job.
were you able to find out anything about the shrubs or have a school board meeting? Did they
The
have
school
one
board
yet?
meeting's next week, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you'll ask
I'm
about,
just not sure what, I think it's the 4th. I think it's the 4th Tuesday of the month. They switched it, so it's weird. So I don't think they've had a meeting since the election, right?
I think so.
Who?
I think you're right.
School
This
board.
is the
School
first
board.
one.
This will be the first one since, so they haven't even voted
Structured
in or
anything yet?
anything yet. But I'm gonna go to the meeting.
It mentions in here about tennis courts, so I have a question for Dave. How's the tennis court cleanup coming?
Non-existent.
Can you work on it this summer and let's get it cleaned up and out of there? Yeah. There's third man again.
Put it on the list.
Have the janitor help.
Tell him, Bill,
Yep,
get a third man.
third man.
Yeah, four.
Yeah.
But we just pave everything, and then I get to all this stuff.
Okay. I told you, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hurry, I'm
Let's do it.
Here starting tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Shrub cutting. Okay. Guidelines for dispersing the dog fund. So Lori, we voted to add $5 to each dog registration, and it would be for funding unexpected and unanticipated dog and wolf hybrid cost. It's a reserve fund, so it stays there all the time, builds up until the select board releases it. Do we have that in there? No.
Is there a cap on it?
No.
Say that if we get $5,000 in there, do we have to continue to collect the extra $5 from the townspeople, or?
I don't know. We probably could change it. I don't.
We can change things anytime we want.
I think you voted at $5. They voted to set up the fund, but
Right.
now you voted the $5. You could always drop it down.
So
to
like
$4.
Luke had
We can say we wanna
$43,000 in his cemetery thing, and they're like,
Yeah.
no, we don't wanna give you any money, we want you to use that money.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. I mean,
Good point.
I can see down the road that you're gonna need another dog kennel. I mean, those only last so long, and then he's gonna say,
Yeah.
hey, this is rotted and sitting up in his yard right now, you know? But, I can see that money will get spent. I don't think it's gonna get way up
How
there.
much money do we end up spending last year altogether?
Probably none last year, but the year before was what?
The
Almost.
case,
Was
we
it
went
almost
over budget.
almost $1,000?
Yeah. We went over budget the year before because of that one case. One dog.
One dog. Okay, so the third line down, this fund may be used if the owner is unknown and the injured dog wolf hybrid is in need of a veterinary consultation. For example, treatment or euthanasia, because Luke does not want to make that call for putting down the dog,
So
and we shouldn't either.
We had a dog that was kept and wasn't eating or acting right, and he had to take it to the vet, and the diagnosis was that it was lonely. So I don't even know if you want to say injured, because we incurred vet bills for a non-injured dog that,
Mental health?
yeah,
the dog?
that wasn't acting quite right.
In for injured, lonely, this fund may be
What
used.
about anticipated or unanticipated veterinary costs or something along those lines? Treatment, just some kind of treatment.
I mean, definitely injured, but it was just in our care. It wasn't injured, but it required a wellness visit, and it was not well.
How can we word that?
Emotionally.
Just maybe take out the specifics about injured or, and just maybe somehow refer to treatment.
In need of veterinary consultation, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey Kurt, I wonder what they would think of how your dad and my grandfather took care of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
The old rabbit dogs.
yep, it's old and not hunting. Okay,
I felt it coming last week when I mentioned about the cat getting run over.
Yeah.
this one may be used if the owner, I'm not sure if it's written.
Yeah, we don't want to say it again. Later.
And then, toward the bottom, this fund may be used if the owner is unknown and it is necessary to keep the dog wolf hybrid more than the allowed days. Because he had problems last year finding a kennel or the year
Yeah,
before.
we're talking,
How about if it is within the allowed days, but we can't find the owner? I mean, there's still a per day
cost.
cost.
I don't know why we can't just say spend it on any needs for the dog. Come on.
Yeah, I need,
You know,
Too specific here.
well, I just think that if Luke needs the money to spend on the dog, he deems that, hey, I gotta go buy something for this dog. I gotta take him to the vet. I gotta spend it. I mean, how many dogs do we register?
275.
300 times 5, you got $1,500 first year, right? That sound right? If it's 300 dogs times 5, that's $1,500, right? If everybody pays on time, without fees or penalties, then it goes up. But I'm just saying, we got the money, and he deems that it needs it. Why handcuff him to any number of things? Just go ahead and spend it. Why are we? I just don't understand. This is not $150,000. We're talking $1,500. And I agree. If we start getting upwards quite a bit of money, we could say, okay, we have a project that we take some of that money and buy a kennel, or we can buy new equipment. Because this equipment that he has is very little, and probably some of it he paid on his own. So we can get things. I mean, there's fuel costs that are going up.
Will it be used at the discretion of the dog officer or of the select board?
I think that we give Dave so much discretion. You can say, okay, up to $500. You need more than that, you come to the board.
right.
Yeah, put a cap on that.
Yeah.
Put a cap on the
If
spending.
it starts building up where you get tens of thousands of dollars in there, you don't say, go ahead and just spend it. He has to come to the board.
What's a cap? What do you want to say?
What's the average
200?
vet visit?
Huh?
What's the average vet visit?
Oh.
$500?
It's expensive.
I'd say 500.
Right, so I mean, at 500, I would say easily. We don't want him to have to say, oh, geez, I gotta wait 2 weeks for the board to make a decision.
Right.
We gotta be able to say to him, look, you gotta bring this dog to the vet. Go do it.
Right.
Right? When we start, and I'm telling you, 500, I agree with that. $500 doesn't go anywhere anymore. I mean, you guys, you go down and buy groceries. What's it cost the average family of 4 for groceries now? $200, something like that? I don't know, $400? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a family of 4 anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Might want more than that.
Right.
So-
So that, you know what I'm saying? These doctors, the vets, I mean, now they're charging for mental illness. The dog is lonely. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but the dog's lonely. Are you going to get a second opinion now? The guy, he's getting paid to tell you that.
Fully responsible for the therapy to cure the dog.
That's, I like I said, I don't want to, downplay people that love their dogs, but it gets to the point where the doctor himself goes, geez, we got to treat them.
Well, he knows you love your dog.
Geez, Kurt, we have regular doctors that treat people, and they keep you coming back.
Yeah.
They never cure you.
The doctor knows you love your dog.
Right. Exactly.
I'm sure that's weighed into the bill.
Yeah.
He really loves this guy.
So, and then what do we do if there's a cost and send it back to the townsperson? They have to pay it. And when you have, like we had that case, I can't afford it. What do you do now? Keep the dog. That's what happened.
Oh, do we want to say only if the owner is unknown? We knew the owner we incurred costs. Maybe we
Right.
don't want to know or unknown. If the town acquires a cost, whether the owner is known or unknown,
If we know the owner, why are we just going back?
Well, we did. And
We
they
did?
said, we don't want the dog.
We
We're
don't
not
want the
paying
dog.
it. So the
Here's a
penalty is that we
Doesn't
keep
go
the
like
dog.
a neglect type situation, or should that? I mean, if it's somebody's dog and now they're just,
I can't afford it. I don't want the dog. Get rid of it.
So they turned it over to Luke? Is that what happened?
no.
It was a dog bite first.
Oh.
Right, but then
So he had it quarantined, and then they didn't want it back because they couldn't afford it.
right. So we had to kennel the dog until we could find a home for the dog because the owner didn't want the dog anymore because he couldn't afford it, and there was already too many violations.
Couldn't afford the fence to keep
The
the
fence
dog
and so on.
into the yard.
It was a big issue, but there was a financial burden on the owner.
There's
So, do
there's
you-
a place in North Adams now. Would that be a potential to bring the dog there?
According to Luke, a lot of Massachusetts places won't take
An out-of-state.
out-of-state dog, and then there was rabies shots involved in it. So there was more to it, but he was told no by a couple places, and then he was told yes by a place when then they
Yeah.
changed
Yeah,
their
they
mind.
Changed their mind, yeah.
Yep.
So
So-
does he still have the dog?
No, it's fine. This is a couple
Summers
years
ago.
ago. Yeah. But do we take a owner and say, okay, it cost the town $1,000? Do you send that bill to the owner, and we got to lien on your house till you pay for it? I mean, I don't know how far you go on this stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't.
Why should the taxpayers have to pay it?
It seems like we've had to take matters in our own hands about culverts before when it's causing harm. We've, done it ourselves and billed them, and they can either pay it or it goes in the records, so if they go to sell their house, they have to pay it.
They owe us up, yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't see why a dog couldn't be the
And
same
you
way.
we can take that case by case. You don't have to put that in the policy.
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
seems to
saying.
me like if you come to the town, you're registering a dog as the owner, you're responsible for that dog,
Right.
Right.
whether you want it or not.
So
Right.
isn't the recourse in our dog ordinance, the ticketing system with the judicial bureau, which is pretty much useless.
Right. And what happened with this case was the dog had violations. We deemed that you can't have your dog back now because you didn't put the fence up and you didn't put you're not doing what we told you to do the first time. So we took the dog.
Who got the dog back?
I don't know. It was-
I think
They
they
did
second
go
chance.
second chance.
yeah.
Finally took it.
And then you get the emotional part of it. I feel bad.
I want to say goodbye to my
Yeah,
dog.
oh, and it's-
Oh, gee.
So there's a lot to it, but we shouldn't, as taxpayers or other dog owners, have to pay that. So, it's just like you said. You live here, and they're paying all the money over here. It should be a little bit more equal. Anyways,
So what are we keeping?
Pete's looking at his clock over there, so he wants me.
Keeping guidelines, keeping the reserve fund, keeping the fund is to be used only for dogs with hybrids. Other domestic animals are not covered. This fund may be used if owner is unknown and in need of vet consultation, etc. And then take out this fund may be used if the owner is unknown. Are we taking that out or keeping it in?
I would say only if it's unknown. If you know who the owner is, they're responsible for it. I don't think
Right.
you should have
This
to
fund may be used
continue
if the owner
doing
is
that.
unknown and is necessary.
But I would say, if we're keeping the dog even up to the allowed days, we should be able to use it, not just more than the allowed days.
Right, we don't want to keep it more
So
than the allowed.
what
days.
if we don't know who the owner is, and then all of a sudden we find out, oh, it's John's dog, and in the meantime we've incurred $500 in expenses. Should we give John a $500 bill?
Should.
You're supposed to pay, before
should.
Luke releases the dog to you, you have to pay it.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, Luke does a good job on very little money. And when I came on this board, we had a different dog officer. We're lucky the town didn't get sued. Big time. Guy went out in the woods and shot the dog. So we're lucky we didn't get big trouble. So, I mean, we're doing it the right way. We should have the owners of their dogs, they should be responsible.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
So did we figure out what the cap was on the amount for Luke?
I
Kinda.
think we said 500
It
cap.
kinda was all a setup too.
You said, yeah.
Oh, it should be in here somewhere,
Kind of
that's
Rye
right.
Stanford humor to me.
He was recording it.
Oh,
$500
Yeah, he set
cap.
him up.
Okay. So what did we decide? This fund may be used if the owner is unknown and it is necessary to keep the dog more than the allowed days.
Can we just say it's necessary to keep the dog, period?
Yeah. This fund may be used if the owner is unknown and necessary to keep the dog. And this fund may be used if the owner is unknown. Yeah, because we would feed the dog,
You have to feed it. It's probably cheaper.
and it's necessary to keep the dog.
Just bring it somewhere else.
No, I was gonna say
Keep-
next time I'm
Just
vacation,
let the
I'm
dog-
gonna bring my dog up to Luke and abandon it there till I come back.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Cheaper to take out.
Yeah.
Take the collar off, right?
Thanks, guys, I appreciate that.
Yep. And then because this fund was set up as a rabies control program, that gave us the authority to put this $5 surcharge on. Should we say something, it could be used for a rabies clinic sometime? Or
I
maybe
think we
once
should be able to use it for whatever Luke feels we can use it for. That's what I
yeah,
think.
and if we want to do a rabies clinic,
We
it's
get
up
up,
to
we
him.
start making good money on it, we can.
There's
Use
enough
the-
places around where you don't think you need to do a clinic anymore. You can go
No.
to Tractor Supply and
Mhm.
Right.
get your dog taken
It's
care of.
expensive, it costs, and it takes time.
I bring my dog right in there, let her pick out a toy. It's like, come on in.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Right.
Take the last one out.
Okay.
These are the guidelines to be dated, signed, and to be modified as needed, or however you usually write that.
Okay.
Make a motion?
Motion. Motion to sign.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. What else do we have?
For the next one. I can tell you, speaking of ordinances, the 60 days has passed on your highway ordinance this past Monday, so now that's in full force and effect. The Municipal Energy Resilience Program, the grant that we received to purchase new insulated doors for the highway garage and a new entry door. I had to attend a seminar. It was a Zoom, so I guess attend isn't that right. But I had to submit a request to have the property reviewed for the state historic list, the national historic list, the archaeological list, make sure there's no dead people under there.
Circa 1980.
They have 30 days to decide if they want to come down and do a site visit or if they'll just approve the project as is. And
The
then
state
we
won't come down here, they don't really know us.
I don't know why, I mean, there's nothing there that's ancient artifact.
Native American burial ground.
Maybe there's a lizard.
Or it is, it's too late. I mean, we're not moving the building, we're just changing some doors.
Just changing the door, oh
But they
God.
won't even let you replace windows, insulated windows without,
Historic.
yes,
Oh.
historic preservation.
Yep.
You can't dig more than a 10-foot square without historic preservation. A lot of weird stuff with this one.
Yeah, they do this on the.
So this grant, do they pay you for attending and administering the,
Oh, interesting, I doubt it.
yeah,
Not like we-
not like FEMA, okay.
So what's the next step in that?
Once we get over this hurdle, then we need to do the bid package and send it out to people who will install the overhead doors.
How much money did they give us?
$33,000. So you have to buy 3 doors and a little door and install.
Maybe. Be close.
That's what they're saying.
What else, Lori?
Well, if you want to move into the
Sure,
correspondence,
yep.
I have 2
Take their money.
overweight permits. Camp Precast Concrete and West Oil.
We're
which
getting
is
more now than
now Santa Fuel.
Santa Fuel.
Santa Fuel.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve them or sign them?
Yeah. Second.
All in favor?
Alright.
Thank you. Okay.
Any word from BCRC on returning our payment? Didn't we have to pay them the $1,000 first? And then
We've
they're
already paid the $1,000, so they submitted a new bill, which was maybe $450.
Yep.
So we've submitted that to the state, and the BCRC has already refunded us the $650 we
Good,
overpaid.
okay.
That is not included in the grant.
That was very nice of them. Okay, what else do you have, Lori?
I don't have anything else.
Any old business, guys? Okay. Have we heard anything back from State of Vermont, Department of Taxes?
Well, a week or so ago, I received a letter saying they're still working on it. We need more time.
It took time to sign a letter saying they were working on it.
Okay.
This is my second letter that
Yeah.
they're working on.
That's nice of them.
Okay.
They're still reviewing it.
How about new business? Usually have some new business, Mike.
No, I'm trying to be quiet about some things tonight.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to get frustrated.
Okay, you need to.
Keep my blood pressure down.
Next Monday, the Planning Commission will be reviewing the draft of the zoning bylaws. What time?
7.
It is at 7, yes.
7. Alright,
So public hearing.
public hearing. And
Nothing on any of the executive session stuff. That's just a stalemate now. I thought it was supposed to be moving on here.
I
The attorney for an update.
yes.
Well, I
Drop
mean,
them an email
it'd be
and
nice to
say,
know
what's going on?
here. Supposed to be things are supposed to not sit in limbo forever, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay, and any other new business, guys? No? All right. Next meeting, we could start reviewing policy again. We have some more policies, and maybe Dave, Lori, and I will be able to have job descriptions for the road commissioner and the laborer, because those are all very old policies.
We're gonna add a lot more duties.
We're gonna add lawn care to it.
Tennis court.
Tennis court, lawn care.
Tennis court, whatever the next guy wants to do.
Working half days,
Whatever the next
12 hours. Motion to adjourn.